Hello, everyone, and welcome to our next edition of our DPS Celebrates Beyond the Celebrations. My name is Kelly Stevens. I am the History and Civic Engagement Specialist for Durham Public Schools. And joining me is Melissa. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Melissa Pettis. I'm the Cultural and Linguistic Development Specialist for Durham Public Schools. And we're excited to be here this evening. And it's not just Ms. Kelly Stevens and I who do all the work behind DPS Celebrates and all of our live celebrations and website resources. We actually have a team, a committee of several people who you can see listed here, who all make valuable contributions to our team and being able to carry on the work of DPS Celebrates. And if you'd like to know more about who is on our team and about DPS Celebrates, please visit our website at celebrate.dpsnc.net for more information.
And we'd be remiss without thanking our Durham Public Schools American Sign Language Interpreting team. We've got Miss Rachel Williams, Sarah Leonard, and Charles Storrs, who have provided that ASL support for us.
Now, a little bit about DPS Celebrates and our website features. Our committee meets monthly and we decide sort of what celebrations based on our DPS population of what we will celebrate each month. For this month, we have a focus on courage, which is our character trait of the month. It is Women's History Month, as well as National Foreign Language Week. So those are our big celebrations, as well as Crown Act Week as well. And if you visit our website at www.celebratedpsnc.net, you will find a wealth of resources for each one of these wonderful celebrations that we are highlighting, as well as a monthly calendar, flyers. It is available in English and in Spanish. And we would like to highlight awareness around these celebrations, as well as a few others that are listed there. You can also find some really cool Zoom backgrounds, as well as Bitmoji classrooms that you can use and just put your Bitmoji avatar in, as well as e-library collections that students can read on their own or in class, as well as lessons and other activities that you can incorporate with students, share with parents and stakeholders in the community.
So today we're celebrating National Foreign Language Week, and joining us today is a DPS alumni, James Drozdick. Now, James is an alumni from Easley Year-Round Elementary School, Carrington Middle School, and Riverside High School, where he graduated in 2018, and he was part of the Project Lead the Way engineering program. James is now a senior at Virginia Tech, focusing on mechanical engineering. You can see in the pictures here, James has done some study abroad, which he's going to be talking with us about, and autonomous aerial vehicles at Virginia Tech. James, we may have to talk about that. I don't even know what that is. The wealth of things is amazing that we're always learning. I love it. So you can see James working with a couple of different age groups in the different pictures here, and we're going to learn about that program today. Also joining us is Marjorie Woods. Marjorie Woods is going to be talking to us about the study abroad program that Virginia Tech offers today. So James and Marjorie, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thanks. All right, so let me go ahead and stop sharing our screen for right now, because we're gonna just talk for just a little bit. And sorry, trying to move everything around on multiple screens. So once again, welcome to all of you. And Marjorie, since you're kind of coordinating this, I know you are an alumni of Virginia Tech. You went there and got your undergraduate and your master's degree, and now you work for Virginia Tech. Tell us a little bit about this program that students get an opportunity to study abroad with.
Yes, so this program is called Linking Lives, and it's run through the Virginia Tech Marketing Department, but it's open to students from all different majors across the university. This program is really amazing. Students not only get to spend 2 months in Lugano, Switzerland, they get to travel every single weekend, and they take different classes in marketing and international development. And after those 2 months in Switzerland, they actually get to do a 1-month experiential learning project in Eastern Africa. So currently all of our students are going to Rwanda. James, like you mentioned, was one of those lucky students who got to have this experience.
Excellent. And is this, now you mentioned this program is at Virginia Tech. Is this program or something similar offered at other universities across the United States that you're familiar with?
Yes, so this program is run by Virginia Tech, but it is actually open to students from all universities across the country. So if hearing about this program, it sounds like something you would be interested in, but you don't plan to go to Virginia Tech, even if you plan on going to a community college, definitely feel free to look us up. Linkinglives.org is the website when you go to think about studying abroad in the future.
Thank you. That sounds great because our students in Durham Public Schools go all over the place to a wealth of different opportunities when they graduate. So, yeah, it kind of sounds a little expensive traveling abroad. How do students fund this opportunity to travel?
Yeah, so we're very realistic that studying abroad is definitely a financial commitment. I think it's amazing that you guys are getting this message out to students now, maybe before they hit that college track, because I think the best thing you can do is start planning as early as possible. If you decide to study abroad your junior year, and then you only have a semester or two to start building those funds, it can be a much more daunting task. So if you're considering studying abroad, I would definitely build that into your financial plan when you're looking at what colleges are going to cost and things like that. I also think it's great for students to know about how many resources there are out there. No matter what university you go to, they're going to have a financial aid office, they're going to have a global education office, and both of those offices are going to have multiple resources in terms of scholarships that you hopefully can take advantage of to help fund your study abroad opportunity.
Great, great. I like to hear that there's some equity of access there, providing some funding opportunities for our students. Speaking of traveling abroad, you know, we're really fortunate here in the United States that we're pretty comfortable in the way in which we live. But I also know with my history and civic engagement background that things may be a little different in different parts of the world. How does this program prepare students to be well prepared, you know, well knowledgeable of the area they're going to visit, maybe the culture, the history, the livelihoods of what people are living through every single day before they get there?
Yeah, we agree that this is really important, especially before our students go to Rwanda, just because it is such a different culture and country than the US. So our students actually meet twice a week for those 2 months that they're studying in Switzerland. And during that time, they take a class where they're learning all about the history of Rwanda, the culture of Rwanda. They're preparing for the different projects that they're going to be working on. And overall, we're trying to get them in a mindset of being a global citizen and entering into another country and working with people from other cultures with an attitude of humility.
I love it. I love it. That's outstanding. All right. So the next questions, you know, we just kind of focused a little bit on the program now. Now I want to hear a little bit about your experience. And Marjorie, I know right now you are joining us from across the globe. You're currently in Switzerland. So one of the beauties of the pandemic is that we got really comfortable with these virtual Zoom meetings. And so it opened up an opportunity for you to join us, even though you're not here locally. And James, I know you spent some time in Switzerland and Rwanda. So tell me about that experience. What was it like?
Well, in Switzerland, we were taking a lot of classes. We take 21 credits while we're there. We have a full class schedule during the week. And then on the weekends, we're free to travel. And we always stay together in a group, and you get to go pretty much, that's up to you. You can kind of decide which cities you want to see. And that's a really wonderful part of the program, is getting to travel every weekend as much as one can afford. And you got to go to like Germany, Barcelona, France, Dublin, see so many different cultures from across Europe. That was really, really enlightening.
Yeah, I understand the transportation system in Europe makes it really easy to transfer from country to country. Did you get a chance to visit maybe other places when you were in Rwanda as well, James?
Yeah, while we were there, we we were mainly based in Lima. We were in Kigali, that's the capital. We flew into there. We were there for the first weekend, and then we all shipped off to our various locations. Each location pretty much stayed with their community, because while you're there, the whole point is to become ingrained in that community. You are there, you're doing service, you're working a job every day, and you have all these projects you're working on while you're there. So you're kind of home base at where you go. But we did get to go on a safari, and that was really fascinating and wonderful experience. That was a long drive, a long day, took a weekend, and just got to see some incredible sights. So you do get to travel around, and Relima, it's a small town, but you're walking everywhere you go, and you bounce around everywhere in the community. And I think that's true for every location in Rwanda.
Outstanding. Melissa, did you have any questions you wanted to ask?
Yes. So you've been speaking to how wonderful it's been experiencing the other cultures and being able to travel around. But I would really like to hear about the language piece of that. Of course, the cultures are totally different, and you kind of navigate your way through that. But can you speak to the languages that you spoke and the importance of that, and how that study abroad or opportunity to be abroad in those countries added to or facilitated the language proficiency that you already had?
That really ties straight into one of the main reasons we were there in the first place. And so in Rwanda, we were teaching English to different levels of age, or different age levels, as a second language. And so I was working with 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and 6-year-olds in a preschool, and we were teaching English because a few years ago, Rwanda made their national language of instruction English, and that's not a native language there, and it's a new language for a lot of people there. So when we're there, we kind of are trying to fill this need where they're trying to teach English to the younger generation, and a lot of the older generation doesn't speak it. And so that's kind of our job there. Is every morning we would go teach, and we were kind of given a classroom, and it kind of just threw you right into it. And so a lot of the instruction was in English. We had wonderful translators who worked with us to help make that process smoother. And a lot of it is done in repetition because I was with such a young age group. But when it gets to the actual teaching, you really did have to just be a sponge. You had to learn as much of the catchwords you could to communicate with them, to get your points across. And then when you needed the translator, they could step in and help explain a concept or an activity. But really, it was just, you just jump in, and you really got to just be a sponge. The native language there was Kinyarwanda, and so we were using lots of catchwords like Vugachane, which means repeat loudly, and Nanane, which is again. And I was with a young group of kids, and so a lot of the times it was just memorization and trying to bridge that gap between, oh, they know songs, they can sing the alphabet, they know the numbers, but they don't recognize the letters, they don't recognize the numbers. And so we're going to make that bridge to reading, and that's a big gap. And it was a primary source of our gosh, that's the word, it's of our objective. Sorry, I missed. That was the primary.
That's amazing. And that's something really important, right? Like, they could say alphabet, they could say the numbers, but actually being able to attach meaning to that, right? And make meaning language, which is part of that language acquisition piece. So can you speak a little bit about when you weren't teaching, like when you were out in Rwanda, just living life day to day, getting something to eat, going grocery store, etc. You spoke a little bit to sometimes you needed a translator, right? Because you were not fluent or proficient in their language. So what did you do? Did you have a translator with you all the time, or did you find yourself quickly picking up phrases? Or can you speak a little bit about how it is to be immersed in a culture with a language that you don't speak, and how you navigated that?
Yeah, I'd love to. And so really the translators were essential. We weren't actually allowed to go anywhere without them. And so when we would go work on a project, whether it be a building project in the city, or just a cultural like exchange where we were dancing and learning with the locals, we always had our translator with us. And over the time, you started to have these conversations. We learned, good morning, how are you, short little small talk. But whenever you wanted to have a real conversation with someone, they would either be speaking in English with you, or the translators would step in and conduct that conversation. We would do some interviews between the teachers who we worked with. That was really fascinating, where they talked about, some of them are beneficiaries of some of the projects that FMO does there, like the 1 cow per family and other similar projects. And we got to interview them and hear about their experience. And so there was just lots of stories told to us that were directly through our translators. And the translators who worked with me were named Anique and Baudois, and they are still some of my best friends today. I talk to them every week. And Baudois, I just talked to yesterday. He's doing well. It really was an interesting relationship that was so valuable.
Marjorie, I know you did this as a student as well. Could you speak a little bit about your experience with this same thing?
Yeah, I think our study abroad program is a little different than others. A lot of study abroad programs, as many of you may know, really hone in on becoming fluent in a language. So you study abroad in Spain and you become fluent in Spanish. Since our students are sort of moving around, they're traveling to a new country every weekend, they don't have a single language that they're studying. And I think that as a student, I experienced this, and I'm sure James and all of our other students do as well. You really learn how to use nonverbals to communicate when you're traveling on the weekends throughout Europe, or if you're in a classroom working one-on-one with a student and maybe the translators across the room working with another group of students. I think you really learn how to rely on that nonverbal communication in order to get your point across, whether that's facial expressions, hand gestures, pointing, drawing, acting things out. And I think it's a really, really interesting experience to learn how much you can communicate without being completely fluent in a language. And I think it's just a really interesting experience. I think another thing that I really learned, and I hope our students are learning every time they go, is I learned a lot of and built a lot of empathy for people who move to another country where, you know, it's not their native language. It's not what they spoke at home growing up, because we are put in these situations in Europe or in Rwanda where we're trying to communicate with people, and you realize how hard it really is to live to be living somewhere where you can't communicate with everyone as easily as you once were able to. So I think we definitely built a lot of empathy and a lot of patience for other people who move somewhere that it's not the language spoken, is not their native language.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for that. I kind of would like to know from each of you, you've talked about some successes, some challenges, maybe like using the translators and things like that and moving around. And thank you for speaking to the importance of gestures, right? In language learning, when we don't always have our words, we can have gestures and things like that that help us communicate. Are there other things that you all used or implemented when communicating with others other than the interpreters and the gestures that you would like to mention, or any advice that you would give maybe to students who are in their language, second language learning career, maybe in high school or even in middle school? What advice would you give to them if they are struggling, for example, in class because they don't understand that second language and they're having trouble with that language acquisition?
Well, for me, it was repetition is key. And I didn't learn very much of the language that I was there because we were kind of on the other side of the coin. We were there teaching English. And so we learned what we needed to, but all of our instruction was done in English. But seeing that from that side and being facilitating that, repetition was absolutely key. And I think that was true for all of the age groups that we worked with, whether it be 4-year-old, 5-year-old, or older. The more that you repeat it, the more that you can make games out of it, make things that can entertain you, that keep your attention, the easier it'll come.
I definitely agree with James. I think we used a lot of like drawing and written communication as well to sort of bridge the speaking portion of it with reading and writing. I also think just one thing that I personally believe really helps is just not being nervous or embarrassed to mess up. We tell this to our students all the time. You really just have to jump in and try as much as you can. Even if you don't know if you're going to pronounce something exactly right, or if you have an accent correct, the people around you are really going to appreciate you just trying to learn the language that they speak. And you're never going to get better if you're not trying and you're not practicing. So as scary as it can be to really put yourself out there, especially if it's in a group of your peers or in a classroom, you're going to learn so much faster if you're really engaging with people who do speak that language.
I think that's a great message. And I recall hearing Ms. Perez in our office mentioning that there's a principal in Durham Public Schools currently learning Spanish, and he's excited because he's growing and continuing to communicate with our families. And Melissa's like, yes, just keep speaking it, because the people who speak Spanish as their native language really appreciate you making that effort and really trying. So that's
Oh, come on, we can't refer to him that way. We've got to shout him out and make it big. Go Hogan's, go Dr.
Yeah, go Dr. Hogan's.
Continue your work. It's amazing. I was so excited to speak with you about that the other day.
Yes, yes. And I got to overhear because Melissa and I share a space. So, and I love hearing that because language is not my strength. Ms. Perez here, how many languages are you fluent in now, Melissa?
Just a few.
Oh, come on. Don't be shy.
Well, I don't know your definition of fluent, right? Like I like to say I'm fluent in 4 and I'm dangerous in a few others. So I know enough to get by. I know enough probably to, get around life and everything, but I say I'm a little dangerous because I definitely wouldn't say that my proficiency is probably high enough. I probably could find my way into some trouble if left unsupervised.
Well, and I think that's a good segue. So Marjorie, I'm going to share my screen again, and I'd love you to kind of introduce our next guest, because this is someone that you work pretty closely with in your program. So let's go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll let you introduce Desiree.
Yes, so this is Desiree. He is one of our key partners for our study abroad program. He is one of our country coordinators in Rwanda. He also is the head of one of our specific sites, the ones that James actually went to in Lima, Rwanda, where he is the country coordinator for a nonprofit organization there called FMO. So Desiree is absolutely amazing. He has had so many different amazing life experiences that make him so valuable to the program and also make him so beloved by our students.
That's a great introduction. And now we're going to transition to hear from Desiree joining us from across the globe in Rwanda.
Ask a question.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
here it is.
okay, if I knew about recording, then I would have been seated in a nicer place. I'm just in my car, and I was about to ask actually, how do you look so well on this video cam? Is that my computer problem, or is you beautiful?
Well, I'm in Lugano, so I'm the professor in Lugano, Desiree.
Oh, that's why you're in a dress. And
yeah, so that's why I'm dressed nice.
All right.
I just got back from teaching a 3-hour lecture class to 95 students.
Nice, that's really great. All right, so and my video now is okay, or I can go in the, I can go and look for a cafeteria to sit in and look better.
No, you're fine. You look great.
It's okay.
All right, okay, if you say so.
Yeah. It's authentic.
It's the realities. You're a busy man and you're on the go, and you're going from Kigali to Lima all the time.
I'm seated with Neo.
Hi, Neo. How are you?
I'm fine. Yeah. All right. So how we do this? You ask the question, I answer.
Yeah.
Even though you know most of the question.
I know.
Yeah.
James, do you want me to do an introduction?
I think that would be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can kind of, if we have the video, Kelly will probably be able to edit it or
That's
they
what
have an
she
editor.
said. So
Yeah,
I figured
so
I'd just start
send
it and they
them
can
the
keep it
raw.
rolling and they'll edit out
Yeah.
what they do and don't want.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get started. My
Let's do
name
it.
is Margie Woods, and I am the co-director of the Virginia Tech Linking Live Study Abroad program, which is a program that takes students to Switzerland for 2 months, and then they do an experiential learning project in Eastern Africa for 1 month. And currently, all of our students are going to Rwanda. James here was one of our students in our fall 2021 program. And he had the pleasure to go to Lima and work with our partner organizations there. And this is Desiree, who is actually one of our local coordinators there in Rwanda, and he manages that specific site in Lima. So Desiree, thank you so much for being here and talking with us. If you could just let us know a little bit more about you. How did you first get involved with Virginia Tech, and how did you first get involved with FMO?
I think I have to start with the with the which came first. But thank you, by the way, for the introduction, and thank you, James, for inviting me for this.
Thank you.
First of all, it's a relationship which goes 7 years ago, since we are now in 2022, since 2015, in spring 2015. So it's a 7 years ago relationship, and I came to learn about the program because I'm running an Italian NGO, which actually I heard it from Catherine Keller, who is the founder of another partner organization. I think they had already received the group once in 2014 and then he recommended that I would also get involved with our NGO, and then I joined as a translator to learn what is it about, and that was in spring 2015. So and then after that, in fall 2015, I received the first group in my location in our NGO. That's how I came to learn about it. And FMO, how did I get involved with the FMO? FMO, it's a FMO for those who are listening to us. It's Fondazione Marcigaria on LAS. Fondazione means foundation. Marcigaria is the name of the person, the founder, actually the father of the founder. And then ONLAS means not for profit in Italian. So then we call it FMO. I came to get involved with it back in 2012. And I was working for One Laptop a Child, which is an American NGO working technology and education in Africa. And when we were deploying laptops to schools, we found that it was some of the issues there was about also accessing the day meal at school. So we went out there looking for partners to help us also provide email, not only computer classes and laptops, but also provide them with those who cannot. So we came up with a plan at my office to establish an NGO, which we called Hunger for Education. And then the first donor was this Italian NGO called FMO. And it was not existing at the time, but we received a donation from the person who later on decided to fund this NGO. So we ran their fund for 3 years, and then after the third year in 2017, we established it as a full organization registered in Rwanda and in Italy.
Wonderful,
So,
wonderful.
while in other 3 years we were working as a partner with the government of Rwanda, but we were not fully established as an NGO because we have to work for 3 years in Italy on provisional approval before they give you definitive not-for-profit status in Italy. So that's what we waited for, and it happened in 2017, and there we are up to now, working with the government of Rwanda to implement many projects. most of them on social protection unit at Ministry of Local Government.
Wonderful, wonderful. In our talks before this meeting, you mentioned that speaking multiple languages was a big pillar in your life and really important to how you guys function there. How did you learn so many, and also which ones do you speak?
Well, I think it is a background privilege here, because I wasn't born in my country. I was born in a neighboring country called Burundi, where we grow up speaking Kinyarwanda, which is Rwandan traditional language, mother tongue, and that was for home. But in school and the community, it was more of Swahili, which is the most used language in East Africa. So I also grabbed a lot of Swahili in there, which really helped me a lot when I was growing up, especially with the Congolese who speak and Tanzanians who speak only Swahili, and Kenyans. So, and then, but in school it was French. So it was that mix of languages. And when you play with your friends in Swahili, when you are in school is French, and when you are home is Kinyarwanda. Wow. So that came to be something really joyful with the kids. Even up today in soccer or basketball, any games in East Africa is Swahili which works. It's like you say soccer, we'll say Spanish in Europe when they play soccer, you know? Yes. Yeah. So Swahili, it was more about friendship and outside and sports, while French is more formal because of background of colonization with Belgium. Mm-hmm. So French is more medium of instruction language. And it stayed that until I finished high school. So, yeah. And I was 18 already. So I didn't know any word in English though at the time. Yeah. And in 2004, that's the time I was joining the university. Mm-hmm. And I was 18. And that's when Rwanda had an issue with France concerning what the role of France in the genocide. Right. So, and then they banned French. We were imposed all education, I would call it imposed because there were no transition, like to help people even have that transition. Only in primary and high school, they gave them 3 years of transition to switch to English. But at university, no. They gave us bridging courses, but which became part of the curriculum. Wow. So we were supposed to learn English at the same time study in English other lessons. Wow. So it was like marathon, and we came to realize that English was very easy when you speak French. Very easy when you speak French, because after 8 months we were all answering and responding, debating in English. And we were students from high school graduates from all over the country, because the University of Rwanda is the only university which was for few elite students, I would say. So no one had to blame. So we had to make sure you participate and you develop your faster learning skills. So you cannot lose the government sponsorship, because 90% of students who go to that University of Rwanda were on government sponsorship. It was after the genocide. No one had money. Yeah. So to save our scholarship, so we had to make sure we study English. And there we are. I graduated 5 years later, and because here the degree was 4 years, and then they added that's 1 more year of improving the language. Mm. Yeah. So we graduated. I graduated in 2010, and in 2010, the first job I got was with this American NGO. And then the Americans, no French, right?
No French.
So, but I saw it as an opportunity for me to then exercise English in my workspace. And I worked with them for almost 10 years. Up to there, I still their consultant. And that helped me really a lot to improve my English. But what kept me there, it would not be English, it would be French instead. Because when the one laptop per child came in Rwanda in 2009, the Rwanda was like a pilot project, and then it was Nicaragua in Uruguay and in Nicaragua in Latin America, and then there was Nepal in East Asia, and there was another country I don't remember in Central Europe. So Rwanda being that pilot, we were the pioneer in implementing this. So then in 2012, after 4 years, they started creating branches and projects in the other countries like Cameroon, like Senegal, like Gabon, like Djibouti. And out of 9 countries they started, 7 speak French.
Wow.
So we had many experts, American experts who were here. So they didn't speak French. So I was the one going to establish to leading the team to those countries. So I established all PC in Gabon, 6 months, in Cameroon, almost 6 months, in Djibouti longer, and in Dakar, in Senegal. So and that was because of French, honestly, because the skills I had, any one organization would have had them, even do better. But the communication required someone who is fluent in French. So up to now, I'm still their consultant. And I think it's because also I can serve the entire continent. And because Africa has 54 countries, I think half of it speaks French, more than half. And then we have few, like 6 who speak Spanish, no, Portuguese, like 3 who speak Spanish, the rest speaks English. So so you can imagine how diverse is this continent, and to live in it, you require to juggle all these languages. And really, if you don't speak their language, I think you are not even, you are like in Africa. To really do business, you have to be a bit familiar with them and get to know their culture, for them to feel like you are not underlooking them, if I may say. Yes. Yeah. Basically, that's how the language, I would say, impacted a lot in my career. I took a long way to answer this, but that's the reality.
No, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So let's see, Kinyarwanda, Swahili, French, English, Italian as well?
It's coming.
It's coming.
Because now my kids, I'm learning Italian because of my kids and my wife. And my wife is Italian, so and then I work with Italians as well, because I'm
Yeah.
running the Italian NGO. So I had started to learn Italian, but I would not say that I'm fluent to hold the longer conversation, but I'm looking forward to that. Contrary, I spent a time in Nicaragua.
So you speak Spanish as well.
Exactly. That's why I was more into Spanish than Italian.
Oh.
And I loved Spanish so much, and I was upset to leave before I really could at least spend 1 year there and learn it the way that I feel like this is the language I can read a book in, I can watch a movie in, I can have a conversation with the people in. And when you move to where they don't speak that language, you lose it. So I think I was there in 2017, and I think I have forgot a lot, but I really enjoyed Spanish as well. I wish I could say that I speak it, but I don't. Poquito.
Oh, well, I mean, that's amazing. It sounds like language has been a big role in your life since you speak so many different languages. You've been able to communicate and travel to so many other countries. And obviously, it has had a large impact on your career and been able to open up a lot of opportunities for you. What role do you think that language plays in Rwanda as a country?
You will be surprised. In Rwanda, we have 4 national languages. All they should be used in the administration. Official languages. Kinyarwanda is the official language. English is official language. French is official language, and Swahili. So then, how lucky I am! I speak all of 4. So, and then, and when but none of those would prevent you from having any opportunity as long as you speak one of them. But of course, opportunities are limited to those who don't speak all of them. And that includes my brother who is here, who doesn't speak any French, right? So there are a lot of opportunity for those who can serve people in both English and French, and then Kinyarwanda. And to not speak both English and French in Rwanda, it reduces your chances of having jobs or opportunities. Because I would say we have a drift in generations. We have a generation which is mine, which is the last one which studied in French. And then we have my brother's generation below who only studied in English. So we have both clients. We have the young ones and we have the older ones. So to serve both, you have to be in the middle. So and we actually, if French is going backward because people who studied in it, they are getting older, but they are the powerful. They are the one leading now, and they are the one in services now. So, and then they will not hire you if they are not to communicate fully with you to still be at the top of it. So you get that. And mostly politicians speak French, and business leaders, the owners of companies, they speak French. While the young servant, the university graduates, they speak English. So if they can get someone who speak both, so it's awesome.
Wow, really interesting.
You know my team. You know my team, Marge.
Yes.
None speak French.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Because
from guy down, they are all the generation behind me.
They're younger, so they speak English. They learned English in school.
English. Yes. And then the Italian part, they only speak French and Italian. So I'm the only liaison between the team and the owner of the organization. So that's how important it is to speak French to me, additionally to other languages.
Okay, Desiree, a short question here. What role do the VT students play in the Lima community?
Oh dear, you were here.
Yeah.
Why can't you say briefly what you did? In just few days you stayed here.
I will.
Yes.
Honestly, I can put that in my section. They'll
Yes.
edit this.
So basically, this program, it's at the beginning, I was looking at it as like more for this student to learn about what they do here. It ended up being actually them bringing more in the community than what they were learning. Because in first place, they spent much time with our students, and who have the chance to speak these languages, practice the languages. These kids, they don't go home, find anyone who speaks English. Their parents doesn't speak English. And the only time they practice foreign language is with the teacher, who also barely speak English. Because most of the teacher, they are my generation. They studied in French their entire studies. And then they were imposed to do some practices and do some trainings so that they can cope up to keep their jobs. So we are talking about a teacher who can barely hold a conversation in English, but she has to teach in English.
Mhm.
So then your student comes, that's why you see the kids are running after them all the time, and they are enjoying more time with them more than it is with the teachers, because the difference between the time and they spend with the Virginia Tech program students is different from what they spend with the teachers. And then that's in the classroom and about kids. And look, the approach they use to teach is different from what the teacher, because teaching in Rwanda is having a stick as a teacher. You stand in front of 30 kids or 27 kids and tell them what to do until in 2 hours they go out and play and then come back in the classroom.
Mhm.
So if you are one teacher, how often will you take 30 kids outside and keep all of them quiet? It's not possible. So when the student comes, it's different learning environment, it's different learning setting, and it's a bit out of the usual, which excite the children. And it's something I don't think other schools which don't have this program really get. And then coming to community and what they do, do you know if we tell parents to register kids to come, because for holiday, when you came in fall, in April is a holiday, so we get the parents to register the students who are going to participate. We select. We cannot hold all the students. There are many. We limit.
Right.
We limit to at least 20 per class, and others who left behind, the parents came to complain because the parents, they are busy doing other activities. So it would be so awesome to have their kids practicing and learning things from your students in the holidays. So for community, it's like an opportunity that FMO is bringing to their children
Mhm.
in the community. At the same time, it's very beneficial for our students. And then go to giving back to the community. What I was telling you, man, you were here. You saw that we gave the community a water they never had. So you saw how many houses we have built. Every time they come, at least there's a family which is having life changed. They are having a house, or they are donating a lot of funds to FMO through GOTS, through scholarship, any initiative project they find, and they know this money is going to these people because they are there to do it, you know,
Mhm.
and they are part of it. It's not like donating and then you wait for the report. No, they are part of the donation. What they raise, what they use, and they leave it to the people they raise it for. So, and that's different from other donors, because we NGOs rely on donations, and the donations we get normally we use them and we send the reports and the pictures. But for them, we wait for them to come and use it so that we don't have to go through reporting. Did I send you a report of how much I used for what you've raised?
No,
No,
you surprised us.
because you were there to see it. So that's also a difference, and that's what keeps these young men, when they go back, they still want to do more, because they feel more connected to what is being done on the side. So it's a lot. And it's at the personal level, household level, and the community level at the same time.
Very good.
Yeah, well, I know we love partnering with FMO, you and Relima. It definitely is a very special place to all of us, and it's a very important partner to our study abroad program. Just some final thoughts, Desiree. What would you want students who maybe are thinking about coming to Rwanda on a study abroad program, or the students who come to Rwanda, what do you want them leaving, or just leaving knowing about Rwanda? What do you want people to know about your country and about the communities there?
The journey, I would say, I would summarize it in that, because if you Google about Rwanda, the history is not that interesting. maybe it's interesting, but not good. And but for us, it's not what to like people to only know, because after history, every country has one. What matters is the perspective for the future and where we're heading. And for the young people like them coming, what I wish for them is to, first of all, to get to know that their country which are still lagging behind. Maybe they know that, but to connect to it, to feel to it, and to know that there are people who are trying to get probably what they have already, what they're born seeing, and it's okay because the world is big. There are a lot diversity and a lot of rhythm. People move on different rhythm. So I want them to open their eyes, look around, think generally about why Rwanda is Rwanda and America is where it is. US is where it is and Rwanda is where it is. Is a big role to learn in that transition. And then after that, they can know where we're heading and perspectives we have to get where I want to do. It's different from the political ambitions of America and the political ambitions of Rwanda. People Rwanda, they are totally different. And then to also see if it is in line with what they want to do in their lives as well. Because the world is becoming a village, someone said, and you never know which village you will be in the future. But and some people tend to orient their life to more where they would make impact. They would feel more needed, and maybe some of them will feel like they want to belong some of their lifetime here. And then the other thing is just Rwanda, tiny country, but we are 54 countries in Africa. Just when you say Africa, remember it's we have countries like your states. We have many countries, and Africa is too big than US. It's far away bigger. So we with many people, many people. So and very diverse. Rwanda is different from Tanzania. If you cross the border to Congo, it's totally different. So to know that, and for them to open horizons, and every time I'm in the US, and I come up with a lot of things I learn about attitudes, about businesses, about how people perspective about people's lives, where they want to become, where they want to head in the future. And some of them, I found them very ambitious and intimidating, and but I draw some efforts to do what I do, and some lessons to as references to what I want to achieve. Yeah, I think that's what I would tell them. And Rwanda is very peaceful. Don't worry, very peaceful. And we are the safest country to walk in the night, in the world. No, in Africa. And then I think fourth in the world, or 10, something like that. So you can leave the one corner of the country to another corner in the night. Even dogs will not bite you.
Well said, Desiree. Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time and your responses. This has been truly wonderful, and I think it's really valuable that the people watching these videos will get to see us and meet you and see a little bit about the program and what we do and all the things that you've accomplished. I think this has been great. Thank you so much.
No, thanks, James. Thanks to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Desiree.
Thanks, Margie. Looking forward.
All right, so Desiree was absolutely amazing. I'm shocked at how many languages he learns. He's so passionate too. Like his enthusiasm just excites me, and he's still learning. He's learning Italian so he can communicate better with his wife and his children. That's amazing. So I really love his message. I love his energy. Great person. I can see why you guys definitely enjoy working with him in your program.
Absolutely wonderful. He's my new idol. Seriously.
I know, right?
Wow. That's all I can say.
I
Wow.
know. I want to be Desiree when I grow up.
I know. I'm grown up and I want to be Desiree. Like, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, I mean, I know you guys have had this amazing opportunity. Marjorie, I know that you're leading this program and continually doing this, but if this opportunity came up again, would you do it again? Because I know sometimes like we do things, as we grow and we learn and we're like, okay, I can say that I did it. I've checked it off my bucket list, but like, I don't want to do it again. What is your perspective on this experience? Would you do this again and why?
I mean, I think I am the poster child for this. Not only did I go on the program, I did do it again as a resident advisor the year after I graduated. And then I have fallen in love with study abroad, and now it truly is my career. Even if it wasn't this program, I think travel will always be a part of my life, just because I think you can learn so much from different cultures and different countries and meeting different people. So I 100%, I did do it again, and I plan to continue doing it as long as I possibly can.
And for me, absolutely. I think honestly, right now, I'm actively trying to figure out a way to get back to Rwanda, because that was one of the happiest moments of my life being there. It was such a wonderful experience of living and working with Desiree and the translators and everyone there. That community was so wonderful. The sooner I can get back there, the better. And I'd love to go back there and apply some of what I'm doing at Tech, being mechanical engineering and doing some building projects. There's potential for some like field studies kind of things where I would go to Rwanda and work on a building project, or maybe some of the development projects that FMO does. They're doing pipeline integration, they're doing housing building, they're kind of creating an infrastructure, and a lot of planning goes into that. And so my studies kind of directly apply to that, and I would love to get to go back and work on that.
I love that, because if you went through it and you're willing to do it again, or Marjorie, like you said, you're still doing it again, like that speaks volumes to this experience. So I very much appreciate both of you taking the time today. And Marjorie, once again, thank you for joining us from across the globe in Switzerland. And I know you're, what is it, 6 hours apart from us? So extra thank you. Extra thank you. So let me go ahead and share my screen once again.
Thank you guys so very much. And while Ms. Stevens is doing that, I just want to point out to our students and families that I know these guys spoke a little bit to cost, but if you're someone who wants to travel and wants to seek out a study abroad experience, even though you feel like the cost may be challenging, I would encourage you to start, putting, even now, like in middle school and elementary school, even just start saving a little bit, just a tiniest bit from now to that time. There are also grants and scholarships. And like, if that's your dream and that's something you want to do to help facilitate your language learning, don't give up. Be persistent. And the ways are out there. There's money out there. You just have to look for it and apply for it. So don't let the cost or the funding hold you back from that dream and being able to say, I can do that. I can study abroad. I can go to a different country.
Absolutely. That's
It's worth noting. Sorry to interrupt. It's worth noting, as an out-of-state student at Virginia Tech, it's less expensive for me to go abroad than it is for me to just attend Virginia Tech, which is backwards to me. But it's worth noting, and there's also, with all the scholarships available through different financial means, it's achievable.
That's a great message. Yes. And I know only because my neighbor attends mission trips all the time, lots of our local churches and synagogues and mosques also do mission trips around the world, where they get an experience with, and a kind of a similar experience, but different in its own way. Another opportunity to immerse yourself in the culture, the language, the regions all over the world. So lots of opportunities if this is something you're interested in. All right, so moving forward, we are in the middle of Black History Month, because remember, in Durham Public Schools, we don't just contain it to the 28 days of February. We think it should be inclusive 365 days, hence our hashtag DPS Beyond 28. So even though we were in March, which our focus is Women's History Month, we are also including some very prominent African-American women that we're going to be featuring. So please, please, please join us next week so we can continue our Black History Month series. We encourage you to visit celebrate.dpsnc.net for more information and to see our featured guests. And just a hint, James is one of our alumni we're featuring from Durham Public Schools, but there's more. So see who else is going to be featured from Durham Public Schools. And Melissa, do you want to close us out?
I would love to. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us this evening. James, Marjorie, thank you so much for being here, sharing your experience. And if you haven't already, please follow us on social media. You can see all of our handles here. And we look forward to seeing you back here next week with our next live event in our Black History Month celebration. Have a great evening, everyone, and a great week. See you next week.